Okay, Boker Tov. Today's stuff is Daf Hey, and as you will see today, like as some of the previous Dafim, not only are these Dafim shorter because of the Ram, but also they're, at least until now, they're not really dealing with like dense sugyot as we've been dealing with. So let's see, they should go pretty quickly because we're still trying to figure out, we're working out the statement of Shmuel. Now, Shmuel said that the Mishnah, oh look, that's still up. Okay, so the Mishnah said, right, if somebody says, Mudrani mimcha, mufashani mimcha, etc., shani yochel lecha, shani toim lecha, so that works, and that's a yad. Okay, and the question of how to read that Mishnah is, does that statement alone work, and that statement alone work, which is probably what the Mishnah sounds like, and Shmuel is choosing to read the Mishnah that, no, you need both of them together. Okay, and the Gemara went and proved you don't need both of them together. Each one alone actually works. Okay, so Shmuel therefore has been modified to say that no, here's what he meant. If you just said Mudar Nimcha, which is very broad and generic, it means in both directions. If we're separated from one, if I'm separated from you, then you're separated from me. And that basically means that I'm forbidding, not only your stuff on me, but my stuff on you. It works in both directions. Only until you say Shani Yochel lecha, those things that I would eat of yours, okay, which is how that's being interpreted, then only then it means that your stuff is forbidden to me, but not in the reverse. But without this qualifier, it means in both directions. That's how we're interpreting Shmuel's statement. Let's take a look now where the Gemara goes with that. Okay, let's pick that up. Let's reread that from 3 lines from the bottom on Dal Amud Bet, just to give us context. So the Gemara says, Ella Amar Shmuel, Shmuel says, the point is that you added that qualifier. That's why you're saying those things of yours that I would eat of yours are forbidden to me. It's in that direction. Aval, top of Hamad Aleph, Aval Amar Mudrani Himcha, I am sort of separated from you. Chudei by itself, Shneim Asurim, they're both forbidden because that works in both directions. If I say I am separated from you, then they are both forbidden. Now we're going to try to see, is that really true, that when you make a statement like that, it's interpreted in both directions.
Rabbi Linzer,
yes.
Question? I didn't notice it. What is this word, kimcha?
That means like mimcha. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You are so asking the wrong person. No. I don't know the exact grammar, but it means mimcha. Okay? Okay, like Heimenu means from him, right? So the local Heimenu, whatever. So Himcha means from you. But but Heimenu is also a form of mimenu, right? So I don't know. It's some Aramaic variation of it. I don't know.
Well, is Heimenu?
I can't think of a biblical.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
To make it even more confusing, Steinsaltz vowelized it as Heimach.
Yeah. Okay. Mimach. Okay. More Aramaic. All right. Enough grammar. Okay. Okay, I'm sure everybody here, their favorite class in school is grammar. Tanan, we turn to Mishnah. Behold, I am on you, cherem, which we would assume means my property. Cherem, remember, it's like the status, like konam, right? It's like korban. It means that the thing, you're changing the status of the object. It's banned, it's forbidden, etc. So I am, regard to you, cherem means my objects are cherem as for you. So yeah, well, that's what you would think. And the Mishnah says, Hamudar aser aval madir lo. Now, mudar means, these are terms you should learn now, talking about grammar, okay? Because mudar is the one to whom the neder is directed. The madir is the one making the neder. It could also be noder, okay? So, we'll do a visual.
Frankly, this entire, all these studios are about speech acts, and now we're told to ignore grammar. Interesting.
I didn't think you. Okay, fine. I just didn't want. Okay. Here's my fruit.
Pushing back.
Okay. And here's you, and I'm telling you can't eat it. So, if you say running or something like that, okay. So this guy is the madir. This thing doesn't work. This guy is the madir.
The object is the davar nadur, right?
What?
The object is
this guy is the mudar. Okay, or the noder. This is the madir, the noder. Okay, so you got your terms there.
But the object is the davar nadur, right?
Yeah. Okay, so if this guy says, All right, Hareini alecha cherem hamudar asur. So I'm saying my food is cherem to you, right? That's essentially what it's saying. So you, the mudar, the one I'm talking to, is forbidden to eat my food. Aval madir, me, the one speaking, lo, I can eat your fruit. Now the Gemara says, but how does that fit with what Yosef Reb Chanina says? Because why don't we interpret that in both ways? You didn't say my food is cherem. You said I to you is a cherem. So why don't we interpret that in both directions? Okay, now you ask me, thank you, there's a big difference, right? Because cherem refers to the status of an object. And therefore, it would mean my food is, as opposed to your food. Whereas the previous phrase that Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina was talking about, mudrani heimcha, is about the relationship. Right? Everybody hears the difference. If I say mudrani heimcha, I'm going to have nothing to do with you. Okay, maybe you'll have nothing. Maybe that could go in both directions. I don't want to get benefit from you. You don't get benefit from me, etc. If I say my stuff, I am a cherem, or my stuff is a cherem, maybe that only refers to my stuff, not your stuff. So the Gemara though doesn't interpret it that way, and it assumes that as long as there's some ambiguity here, if I am a cherem to you, then also somehow you're a cherem to me, and we should interpret it in both directions. Okay, so how does this fit with what Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina says? 1 minute. So how does that fit? Let's go into Parish. No, that's when you were explicit and you said the atalai lo, but you are not forbidden to me. 1 minute. So then it's also pretty obvious. And it says, so let's go on with the Mishnah. Mishnah says, atalai cherem, you are to me a cherem. Hanodir asur, so the one making the vow is forbidden because I'm saying your stuff is a cherem to me. Mudar, you, the one who I'm talking to, lo, is not forbidden to get benefit from my stuff. So why is that? When I say you are to me a cherem, why do we interpret that to be like about the relationship? You're off limits to me, I'm off limits to you, and that it works in both directions. So the Gemara gives the same answer. You go into Parish. No. That's because you also then explicated and you said, you are to me a cherem, but me to you not. All right, so of course then it's all pretty obvious. And the Gemara says, Aval stamamai. So what are you going to tell me? That if you don't have that explanation at the end, shnei asurim, that they are both forbidden with that statement? How many times say at the end of the Mishnah says, Hareini alecha ve'at alai, I am forbidden to you and you to me. Shnei asurim, they're both forbidden. So it's very clear. I mean, it was really pretty clear from the beginning, right? That if you say only the first half of the statement, it only works in one direction. So the Gemara says, Hadenu d'shnei masurim. It's in that case when they're both forbidden, when you explicitly say me and you and me. Hastama, hu asur. If you just said, I am to you a cherem, so hu asur, or let's say you are to me a cherem, hu asur, I can't get benefit from your stuff, mutar, but you can get benefit from my stuff. So why when you say, hareini alei cherem or at alei cherem, do we interpret that only in one direction? But Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina says, mudrani heimcha, we interpret in both directions. Okay, now again, if you would have asked me, it's because one cherem refers to the status of the object, and mudrani heimcha refers more directly to the relationship. But the Gemara does not say that. So the Gemara sees this as a real challenge for Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina. So let's see what the Gemara's answer is. So the Gemara says, Elohachi itmar, Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina. Here's how Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina was said. Mudar ani lecha shnei masurim. Mudrani heimcha hu asur v'chaver mutar. If I say mudar ani lecha, so I am mudar to you, then it works in both directions. If I say I am mudar from you, then it's meaning I am withholding my stuff from you, right? So my stuff is forbidden. So let's first start with the heimcha, from you. If you say mudrani heimcha, so I am withdrawing myself from you, removing yourself from you. So I'm taking my stuff, I'm holding on to my toys, right? I'm keeping them away from you. So if that's the case, right, mudrani, actually, I said it the wrong way. I am withdrawn from your stuff, excuse me.
So he disagrees with Shmuel then?
Well, we'll get to Shmuel in a minute. Let's first figure out what he's saying. Okay, mudrani heimcha, if I say I am taking my stuff away from you and from your stuff, so hu asur v'chaver mutar, then it does work in one direction. Your stuff is forbidden to me, but you can get benefit from my stuff. I am withdrawing my stuff from you. So then why does the licha make it different? So the licha somehow means that the way the Ran says it is you could read the licha in two ways. You could read the licha of mudar ani licha, that I am mudar from that I am, my stuff is like removed to you from you. I'm having a hard time doing this. Let's read the Ran. Maybe you'll understand this better than I do. Okay, if you take a look at the Ran, Mudrani licha shnei masurim. The licha mashma licha, kolomar nechasai asurim licha. So my stuff is forbidden to you. Umashma mishacha, from your stuff. Okay, so I don't know exactly, but sometimes if you say like this, Mudar ani licha. Okay, so one way to read it is, what does he say it means? Right. So Mudar ani, I am removing my stuff licha. I don't know how licha means. My stuff is forbidden to you, not removed from you, but forbidden to you. Okay, so Mudar ani, it's my stuff, right, is forbidden to you. Forbidden to you. That's one way. My stuff is forbidden to you. That's the licha. My stuff is forbidden to you. Okay, but it could also be read as I am removing myself. Then you have, mishe licha, from your stuff. So somehow the licha, because you can, I guess, add like a little prefix here, can be read both ways. Okay, my stuff is forbidden to you, and I'm removing myself from mishe licha, from your stuff. Okay, so that's why it reads in both directions. But mudrani, are you with me here?
Yeah.
But mudrani mimcha, from you, cannot be read in both directions. Okay, I am removing myself from you, mudrani. Right, this is from you, which means like from your stuff. Okay, so from your stuff. The mimcha makes it very clear, from your stuff. So I am removing myself, right, from your stuff. There's no way you can read it. My stuff is also to you. The me makes it very clear here that I am taking myself away from your stuff. So I am forbidden to you, but you're not forbidden on my stuff, right? There's no way you can mimcha to mean you're forbidden on my stuff. But licha, because it doesn't have a prefix, right, which direction it's going, can be read in both directions. My stuff is forbidden to you. I'm removing myself, then you add a prefix from your stuff. But this is very clear which direction it's going in. Okay, I am taking myself away, right? I am removing myself away from you. All right, so that's the answer. Can't get too excited about it, but let's take a look again. So the Gemara says like this, 1 minute. I am either, forbidding myself to you or removing myself from you, even though licha means to, but you can make it say nisha, from licha, then that works in both directions. Mudrani heimcha, I am removing myself from your stuff, mimcha, from your stuff, hu asur v'chaver mutar, then I am forbidden on your stuff, but not in the opposite direction. Let's just get through this idea, and then I'll take a question. Okay, so that explains how Rabbi Chanina is not contradicting the later Mishnayot. He's saying a special case of licha. But if he's saying a special case of licha, it goes back to the question of what was Shmuel saying. Because remember, our Mishnah said, Mudar ani mimcha shani ta'ochelecha. And Shmuel said you needed both parts of the statement. Mm-hmm. And the question was, well, why? Because if you just said this, it would go in both directions. But now we're saying that's not true. Mimcha only goes in one direction. Both directions only is when you say licha. Mimcha already only goes in one direction. So we're back to the question of what was Shmuel saying.
So the preposition from and to are the key.
Yes. So the Gemara says, V'hamas nisin diktani heimcha, but our Mishnah says from you, which now we're saying everybody agrees it only goes in one direction. I'm removing myself from you. That you had to say both phrases. That's when it goes in one direction. When you say I'm removing myself from you, so we tried to read Shmuel, assuming that mimcha goes in both directions, and that's why you needed the second clause. But now we're saying that mimcha goes only in one direction. So why do you need the second clause? So the Gemara says, all right, you're right. Let's go back and say Shmuel's meant something else. Here's what Shmuel's saying. That if you said both phrases, mudani mimcha, it's true that goes in one direction. I'm removing myself from you, from your stuff. that what am I saying about your stuff? That I won't eat, that the stuff of yours that I would eat, I'm removing myself, which means your stuff is forbidden for me to eat, right? That's what I'm saying. Okay, so if I say that I won't eat that the stuff of yours that I would eat or the stuff of yours that I would taste, I'm saying I am making your stuff forbidden to me to be eaten or to be tasted. That's the nature of the Isser. Because now what we're going to find out is, let's say I make my stuff forbidden. What can't I do with it, right? Can I scratch my back with it? Can I sit on it? Can I eat it? Like, can I not eat it? Can I not get any benefit? How do you define the parameters of when I do make my stuff forbidden to you, your stuff forbidden to me? What ways can I not derive benefit? Is it Asr B'Hana, Asr B'Achila? So Shmuel says, if you say the phrase Shani Ochel Lecha, Shani To'em Lecha, you're saying the status that you're changing it into is Isur Achila, because Te'ima is also a type of Achila, to taste. Okay? But if you didn't say this, if you just said, I am removed from your stuff is forbidden to me, it would be more generic. It would be even Asr B'Hana, any benefit.
But what I still have.
Let me read it and then I'll take the comment. So, I am removing myself from your stuff, meaning your stuff is forbidden to me in the context of eating and tasting. Who in that case, the ein hu asur ela b'achila, that it only is forbidden to me to be eaten, but not other benefits. Ha mudrani mimcha, if I just say that I'm removing myself from your stuff is forbidden to me without any qualifiers, asur afilu b'hana'ah, you can't even derive benefit. Okay, so that seems to be a more simple understanding of Shmuel. Shani Ochel Lecha makes it specific. What is the scope of that isur? Without this qualifier, it is unlimited. Now, Michael,
I mean, this sort of gets to answering what I was saying, but I would have interpreted if you just would have looked at it simply. I would think that Mudarni Mecha means this is not just my stuff, it's me. I can help you in any single way, shape, or form. Like you asked me to give you a hand loading someone else's car. I can't even.
Right. So we'll get to that. So that's coming up. Okay. Bill, you had a question? Okay. Yes.
I think my frustration with this Gemara is that it doesn't fit the. Usually, when the Gemara works all this out, there's a logic that's not only implied but also worked through. Mm-hmm. Here, it's all linguistic, and we don't get and any of this, like any of the explanation you give is you're imposing it on anything like the Rishonim.
Right. Right.
Like I don't even sense an awareness that the Gemara is doing this for the ages.
Right.
Well, the question,
right.
Like in general, are they doing it for the ages? Or are they having fun with the logic?
Right. So let me point out something. This is, it's been a long one, but this is a classic opening sugya, right, of the Gemara. Now it is true we do have an Amar Shmuel, okay? So I can't say we're still just in the opening sugya, but if you think about it, right, we have that it's all been very, very, expository. It has. I mean, maybe less so here because it did start with a statement of Shmuel and it's trying to figure out those parameters. But I understand your frustration. I mean, you're not dealing with a lot of hard data and trying to be very concrete and specific about. You're less like speculating. Oh, maybe it means this. Maybe it means that.
Right. Yeah, it's like what? How can I catch this to English? Or to any other time period or language?
Right. Right.
So what's the point of all these details?
Right, but it's not just translating. I mean, it is getting.
I take these principles, principles. Here.
Okay, well, we're about to turn to a more conceptual principle discussion. So you're right. Until now, I completely agree with you. But let's hold on. We're going to turn the page, and then it's going to start feeling like a more classic sugya, at least to some degree. Okay, so the Gemara says like this. Okay, so that's why you have to be specific. If you're generic, it means asur b'hana. Now that is an important principle. If you just say something is forbidden, cherem, neder, konam, without saying in what way, we're going to assume it means isur hana, unless you are more limiting and specific and say regarding achila or specific. Wait, let's read a little more. So it says, afilu b'hana. Hachi says the Gemara, lema shmuel hachi. Let him say that. Or let him say the following. V'im lo amar ela shani ochel lecha v'shani to'en lecha, or ein aser ela b'achila. If you say whatever lo amar ela, but anyway, if you say shani olecha, that's when it's aser. That's when it's only aser b'achila. Meaning, when Shmuel says, it's not enough to say mudrani mincha alone. You have to also say shani ochel lecha. That sounds like if you say mudrani mincha alone, it's not aser at all. Right? That was Shmuel's statement. It's not enough to say mudrani mincha. You have to say shani ochel lecha. That sounds like this by itself doesn't do anything. But what we're saying is the opposite. If you say mudrani mincha, it's too big. Okay, and if you want to limit it, you have to say Shani Ochel Lecha. Okay, so the way Shmuel articulated it, again, it's pretty ironic because we're talking about how exactly you articulated it, and then anyway, fine. But the way Shmuel articulated it does not sound like that. Ella, fine. Let's try it this way. If you say that I won't eat or I won't taste, that's when it's forbidden. If you just say generically, I'm forbidden from you. So before we said it meant all your stuff is forbidden, unqualified. Here we're going to say, who knows in what way you even meant to say I'm removing myself from you or you're forbidden to me. Lo mashma the amar aser. No, maybe I'm not saying that your stuff is forbidden to me. Right? I didn't say Shani Ochalach. I wasn't all clear what I was talking about. My timer, why? Maybe it means the following. Mudarni mimcha lo mishta'in ba'adach. If I'm saying that I am like removing myself from you, it means I don't want to talk to you. Okay? Mashma. Mufushani mimcha, I'm separating myself from you. It means I'm not going to do business with you. Okay, that's it. I've had enough with you. I'm done with you. Mashma. I'm keeping my distance from you. I won't stay in your 4 amos. By the way, you notice that almost all these things are aspects of cherem, putting somebody in cherem, right? Not to stay in there 4 amos, not to do masa mata, not to talk to them, okay? But all these are ways in which you separate from somebody. So that's what it's saying. It's saying that now Shmuel's statement works. Mudani mincha does not mean anything by itself. You need to say shani yochel lecha. Okay, because mudani mincha, who knows? Who knows that you mean who knows you mean neder, and you're ostering an object. Maybe you're just saying that's it. I'm done. I'm separating myself from you. But how do you know you're talking about an isser cheftza and a neder and making a neder as opposed to just making a distance?
Sorry, so if he did say mudani mincha,
if you say mudani mincha, you didn't do anything.
What is the little mishnah about?
I won't talk with you.
Okay, so then you can't talk to him. Right?
Yeah. So that's the question that the Rishonim asked. If you do, according to that idea, that mudar nimcha might mean that I won't talk with you, it doesn't create a neder that you won't talk to you.
Exactly.
And no, so it's not clear. So there's a machlokas rishonim. The general assumption based on the next line we're going to read in the Gemara is it doesn't do anything. Why does it not do anything? For one of 2 reasons. Either because since it is so ambiguous, it doesn't mean anything. If something has no clear meaning, then we can't give it any meaning. So mudar nimcha could mean I don't want to talk to you. It could mean your stuff is forbidden to me to be eaten. Could mean so who knows? So so we can't give it any meaning. So it means
give it the maximum meaning like completely.
No.
Then we have that principle.
Okay, I'm not gonna. But that's when you say contradictory things. I'm not gonna get to that. So basically, if you say something that its meaning is just way too open, then it can't have any halachic meaning, and that's part of the idea that we said that we've been talking about. That neder needs. It's true. There's an idea of yad. And there's an idea of kinoi and so on, but you need a speech act. You need to say something that has that has some type of a meaning. So one understanding is it means nothing. If it can mean 2 very different things, it means nothing. And another way of saying it, by the way, also is that to what degree, and here's something I want you to think about, to what degree can you make something asur b'neder in those weird ways? Like, let's say we spoke about Isra Chila and Isra Hana. Isra Chila and Isra Hana are things that we are familiar with, right, in terms of Torah statuses. That something is Asra Chila, Asra Tehana. But there's also like other things I could do. Let's say I wanted to say, this chair is asur to me for sitting. For other things I can do it. Or this chair is asur for me for the purpose of putting it on my head. Okay, is that a neder? Can you make something usher in a very particular way? Can I make you usher to me like an isser chefza? Remember, it's not a shvua. I'm changing your status. You now become the object, and you're usher to me regarding talking. Okay, or you're usher to me regarding me standing in your arba amos. Is that even you as an isser object? I mean, me standing in your arba amos, right? That's not a hana. Is that a use? Is that a what? So that's something I want you to think about. Okay, we'll get to that. Like somebody could say, this sukkah is usher to me to be sat in. This lulav is usher to me to be taken. Okay, but that's already an interesting thing, and we will see phenomenon like that, but let's not take that for granted. So that's one thing that's about when I say I don't want to speak to you, is can you even create an isser cheftza, an object being usher and you being the object in this particular way?
Meaning if you took a shua, it would be no problem.
Right, but you didn't take a shua, you take a neder. So that's one thing.
Whether it's chal or not?
Yeah, whether it's chal. Even if I explicitly said, right, konam you a lie that I won't talk to you. Okay? Is that Does that make sense? Right? Is that an Isser Chefza? How does that work?
Can a
But
wife do that to her husband?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, that's one thing about can it work. But the other thing is, even assuming it can work, if you say this, we have no idea what you meant. Who knows what you meant? Do you mean your objects are no? Do you mean you don't want to talk to me? What do you mean? And therefore, if we have no idea what you mean, it means nothing. So that now Shmuel is saying, when you say a statement like this, it is too unclear what you mean, and you said nothing. Only when you say Shani Ochelcha, now we understand what you mean. Your objects are forbidden. And now this gets to an important principle.
So you didn't really need to have the Mudar Nimi. All you should have said is
well, that's he's reading the Mishnah that Mudar Nimi requires this. That's what he's reading the Mishnah. Okay. So the Gemara now is going to try to bring out, and now we get to a real classic sugya that discusses real principles. Lema Kasav Shmuel. So let's say what Shmuel is holding is Yadayim she'ein mochichot lo havin yadayim. A hand, an elliptical statement which is not clear what it means, is not a yad. Okay, so there are three stages of this idea of a yad, an elliptical statement. There's a yad mochiach, okay, where it's very clear what you mean. Okay, an example would be like, here's an example. You're under the chuppah and you say, it happened to me once. Anyway, you're under the chuppah and you say. And the chassan says to the bride, "Harei at mikudeshet," and he doesn't say li.
No.
So who's he marrying? Anyway, this happened. I was once at a chuppah, and the chassan said, "Harei at mikudeshet," and I didn't hear him say li. I wasn't the Mashada. So afterwards, I went up to the Adim and I said, "Did you hear him say li?" And they said, "I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Huh? What?" So anyway, so then afterwards, I went up. I was such a troublemaker. I don't want to do that. I went up to the chassan and I said, I don't think you said li. He said, "You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about." Anyway, 3 months later, I get a phone call. They're like, "Listen, we just got the video back from the Matara, back whatever. You're right. I didn't say li." Anyway, it was fine because it was a yad muchiach because they were under the chuppah. Okay, so that's a case where you didn't say it, but it's mochiach. Now, if
because of context,
right? Or you could just say, maybe it's not, maybe sometimes it's just clear even without context, but just because, of course that's what the missing part of the sentence was, right? So even, you don't even need any context to fill in the blanks. You can fill in the blanks yourself. Okay, so that's one thing. Now there's a yad she'ena muchiach, which means that, let's say they weren't under the chuppah. Okay, so harat mikudeshet. It's most likely he meant li, but there's a possibility if you live in a time when people send a shaliach to go ahead and marry women, right? Avraham sends his servant, whatever, to marry Rivka, and he was there at Arayat Mikudeshet, so he didn't mean li, he meant, to Yitzchak. So in that type of a way, most likely we know what he means, but it's not 100% clear. That's a yad she'ena mochiach. Okay, and then there are cases where it's not even a yad at all. Like, the sentence means nothing. I am, I am what? Who knows? So that's not just a yad in mochiach, that's not even a yad at all. So there's three different degrees, okay? So what the Gemara assumes is the mudar ani mincha is a yad she'ena mochiach, which means most likely you did not mean I'm not talking with you. Right? In a world where neder means neder and refers to making objects forbidden, mudar ani mincha most likely probably means your food is forbidden to me. But because it might not mean that, it might mean I don't want to talk to you. Okay, so therefore Shmuel says it's not a binding statement. So that's the principle of yadayim she'ein mochichas lo have yadayim. If it's not clear what you mean, if there's some ambiguity about what you mean, then it is not a yad, and the statement means nothing, and it is not an act, it is not a speech act. Okay, so now we are really getting to defining this idea of speech acts, that something can have two possible meanings. One is the more likely one. The other one less likely. That's a yad she'ena mochiach. It's pretty clear, but it's not. But there's ambiguity. Is that still considered a speech act, or because of that ambiguity, it doesn't mean anything? Yadayim she'ena mochiach lo have yadayim. Charlie, what do you want to say?
The case for the marriage, if there are two women who are unmarried within earshot,
and you did say at, right?
Yeah.
So that's if you don't say at. Okay. So anyway, if you don't say at anyway, maybe she's a shaliach for another one.
You put a ring on it.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Okay. Anyway, all right. So this is
if it's not a speech act, it's just sounds.
Well, if it's not a speech act, it's just trying to get to your das, so it might have different criteria. Okay, but the idea of yadayim mochiach, well, we'll see about that, right? Is that about a question about how do we assess your das? It could be, but I'd rather say, for our purposes, we're going to assume that it's not a question of assessing das. This is a question of what constitutes an the speech act. So we might be prepared to say, you know what? If I was a question of what you were thinking, I have no doubt that what you were thinking was that you wanted the fruit to be forbidden. But the words you said didn't say that. The words you said could reasonably have been interpreted otherwise, and therefore it wasn't a subject. So that's again important to remember, that the focus here is not das. The focus here is, does that constitute the act of speech? If there is some ambiguity to that statement. Okay, so the Gemara says like this: Lema kasar Shmuel yadayim shein mochichos lo havin yadayim. So maybe that's what Shmuel is holding. So the Gemara says, yes, Shmuel mukim l'maslisin Reb Yehuda. Shmuel has our Mishnah going with Reb Yehuda. The Amar Yadayim shein mochichos lo havin yadayim. That a handle which is not clear, a statement with some ambiguity is not a statement. Okay, if it's not exactly clear what the end of that statement is. Okay, Nan, as we taught in the Mishnah, Gufo shel get. What is the text of a get that you write in the get? Harei at muteret l'chol adam. Behold, you are divorced to every person.
Yeah, you're permitted to every person.
Well, you're permitted. Excuse me. Thank you. Permitted to every person. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda says, no. You have to add the following line. V'dein diyahave lichi minai. This v'dein diyahave shall be lichi to you minai from me. Sefer Tiruchim, a book of divorce, a writ of divorce. Tiruchim is gerushin. V'igeret shvukim, and a writ of release. Okay. Now, so what does that prove about yadayim she'eino mochichot? So the Gemara says, okay, that, I mean, there's different ways of explaining it, but simply that when I say, behold, you are harei muteret l'chol adam, I am not necessarily saying that I am divorcing you with this get. I am just making a declaration in this get. So I hand you this thing that says harei muteret l'chol adam. Maybe, is it clear that I understand that this is the instrument of divorce? Maybe I just think that I've declared that you're divorced, and I'm just giving you that my statement in writing. But how do we know that I am indicating that this is the writ that is effecting the divorce? So Rabbi Yehuda says you have to say that explicitly. Dein this writ, this document, shall be the writ of divorce. Okay, is that clear? Otherwise, it's just a written statement. Okay, behold, you are. I'm writing down. I'm telling you. I can tell you orally. I can tell you in writing. Okay, but it doesn't show me that I see this as the instrument that's effecting the divorce. So so this is right. So you can understand it's a little different here because it's not a speech act. Here it's about defining what constitutes a written instrument. But it is similar that it's not just a question of your intention. Maybe this even makes it clearer with the importance of the speech act. Right? Nobody cares how much the man wants to divorce his wife. If he doesn't have the right type of a written document that follows the right formula, it is not a instrument of divorce. So similarly, nobody cares how much you want to make the food forbidden. If you don't have the right type of speech act, it's not going to become forbidden.
Which doesn't necessarily have to be a written form.
Right, it's verbal, but it's the same idea that it required a concrete type of word.
Yeah.
So here, the argument is, if we assume, now of course the Chachamim could say, okay, but what's required in the written document does not have to make it explicit how it's operating. But that's how the Gemara is choosing to interpret it. That the part of what the document requires is that it makes it clear, not just what he's expressing in terms of divorcing her, but it makes it clear that this is the document of divorce. But that's required as part of the statement of the document. So Rabbi Yehuda says, well, that's not implicit, okay? And you have to make that implicit, and the Gemara chooses to interpret that as a position that yadayim she'eino mochichos lo havin yadayim. Since it's possible you mean something else by those words, the words themselves are not identifying this as the writ of divorce.
Yes. It seems to me that it's the real reason for that is because nothing specifically to it. It has to be specific now, which is why you do that. It's a specific get.
No, because the question is, what makes it a writ that divorces? The Chachamim say that so it says, I'm divorcing you. And Rabbi Yehuda says, no. In order for it to be a writ that divorces, it has to make it clear that that's its function. So you're right. You could say that the Chachamim are just debating what the criteria is. Okay, but you could say, and I agree, but the Gemara is choosing to read it, that the Chachamim agree that that's the criteria, but they're saying that it's satisfied. Yes, we're agreeing that the writ has to be clear that it is the instrument of divorce, but you don't have to. But that's clear from context. Okay, well, it's not clear from context. It could mean something else. But you're right. They could be debating the criteria. But the Gemara is choosing to say that they're agreeing what the nature of the script has to, not of the script, of the text has to be, and they're just debating whether or not you've satisfied it. And therefore, it's a question of Yadayim Shein Mochichot. Yes, Bobby.
Rabbi, there was a film, I don't know if you saw, called The Get. I'm hoping you saw
It's
it.
called, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance yet, as I know. It's playing in the Lincoln Plaza Cinemas.
Okay, no,
Right?
that's the question. I'll leave it.
Okay, fine. So, so the Gemara is, but absolutely, you could have said that this is a basic debate of what are the specific criteria of the text of a get, right? But the Gemara is choosing to say it's a debate about whether those criteria are satisfied, and that the document has to make it clear that this is the instrument of divorce. And Rabbi Yehuda says, therefore, you have to say that explicitly. It's not implicit. Okay. So the Gemara says like this: Amai dachi Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda. Why did Shmuel choose to interpret our Mishnah like Rabbi Yehuda? Because remember, if there's a debate of Yadayim Shein Mochichot, then if you hold Havin Yadayim, Mudar Nimimcha works by itself. Because even though there's some ambiguity, it's pretty clear what you mean, and that works by itself. To say you need the other part, and by this itself it does nothing, that means Lo Havin Yadayim. And you'll remember the Gemara quoted a Braitas that said explicitly that Mudar Nimimcha works by itself. So the Gemara is saying, look, there's a debate of Yadayim Shein Mochichos, which is effectively going to be a debate whether Mudar Nimimcha works by itself. We have Braitas that say Mudar Nimimcha works by itself, which means Havin Yadayim. Why did Shmuel choose to interpret our Mishnah according to the Das Yachid of Rabbi Yehuda that Lo Havin Yadayim, and it means nothing until you have the second part of the statement? Right? Why did he choose to take that approach rather than the approach that says Havin Yadayim? Okay, well, that's what the Ran says. What do you mean? We have evidence other places that Shmuel paskins like Rabbi Yehuda. But then, fine, because this is what motivated him to paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so the Amai said the Dachi Shmuel Ukal Asisin Rabbi Yehuda. Look Rabbanan. Let him say it goes like the rabbis. Avagav the Ein Yadayim Mochichot. That even though it's not, evident, it's not, even though there's some ambiguity, it still works, and the first part of the statement works by itself. So Amar Rava Masnisin Kashisei, the language of the Mishnah troubled him. Amai Tani Shani Yochel Lecha Shani Toim Lecha, Lisni Shani Yochel Shani Toim. Why did it say Lecha? Why did it just say that I'll eat, regarding things that I'll eat or things that I'll taste? Shmamina, but Inan Yadayim Mochichot. Why would it say Lecha? It's very clear. I'm talking to you. I am separated from mincha from you regarding things that I will eat, regarding things that I will taste. But why do I have to say licha? I'm talking to you. So the only reason it would say licha is to tell you, hint to you, things have to be very clear when you're making the Nedarim. So you can't allow for any ambiguity. Okay, so in the very text of the Mishnah itself, the word licha is superfluous. And the only need to say licha, because by context it's clear, is to signal that we actually demand clarity and things to be very unambiguous. All right, so that's his deal. But bottom line is he's saying that if there's some ambiguity, even though it's pretty clear what you meant, does not count as a speech act. Yadayim Shein Mochichos Lo Havin Yadayim. Okay, now the Gemara says like this. Itmar. Now we're going to talk about that debate directly. Yadayim Shein Mochichot. You have this issue about handles, abbreviated statements that are not completely clear. Abai Amar Havin Yadayim. It counts, and it counts as a speech act. Rav Amar Lo Havin Yadayim. Nope. If there's some ambiguity, it doesn't count. Amar Rabba, says Rabba. Rabbi Idi Asperali. Rabbi Idi explained to me, meaning why I should say that it doesn't work. Amar Krav, the verse says, Nazir lahazir lahashem. And remember, we learned from Nazir lahazir the idea of yad. Right? It's pointing to Nazirus, even though it's not explicitly. Makish yadus Nazirus l'Nazirus. And so therefore it links the idea of yad to the Nazirus itself. Ma Nazirut b'hafla'ah, af yadot Nazirut b'hafla'ah. The same way Nazirus requires hafla'ah, the yad requires hafla'ah. Now, what does hafla'ah mean? So hafla'ah basically means to articulate. As I've said before, hafla'ah becomes a technical term which means things that are created through speech acts. Okay, but the word hafli basically means to articulate. And articulate needs to be very concrete and very clear. So what does it mean that Nazirus requires hafla'ah? So the Gemara has it has a debate between, if somebody says, somebody is walking in front of me, and I say, Hareini Nazir imhu Nazir. I'll be a Nazir if this guy's a Nazir. Okay, and then tomorrow we find out if he was a Nazir. So what do you think? So I think all of us would assume, okay, so you're a Nazir.
Yeah.
But there's an opinion that says, no, because it says it requires hafla'ah, and hafla'ah means that it has to be very clear at the moment that it was uttered. Okay, and if the moment it was uttered, there was some ambiguity whether it was taking effect, even if that was just an ambiguity out of ignorance, because you didn't know all the facts. Nevertheless, that's not enough to be considered an act of Nazirut. Okay, now that actually is a matter of some debate, but nevertheless, the point is that the concept of the word yafli means that things have to be very clear, spelled out.
It can't be conditional.
Well, they could be, yeah, that's a question, because there are cases of conditions, but we'll worry about when we get to Nazirut. But according to this approach, it would be hard to create conditions. That's true. So therefore, if that's required, that things be very clear whether they're being effective or not, if that's true about whether the act of taking Nazirut is effective, it also then becomes a criteria about the yad. For a yad to work, it has to be unambiguous. If there's it's not enough of a hafla'ah, right? Of this act of hafla'ah. Yeah, go ahead.
But does Rabbi mean to say, so therefore, because you see it by Nazir, it would apply in all cases?
Yeah, but then we're going to work back, because we learn yad of neder from Nazir. So Nazir tells us things have to be unambiguous. From that we apply it to the yad of Nazir, which tells us that the yad has to be unambiguous, and then we say that yad of Nedarim has to be ambiguous. Yes.
I just want to make one observation. That in Shmos, when you've got a cluster of the terms pla'im, otot, umishpatim, those are all semiotic terms. And you've got like how lahafli means to articulate.
Right.
So it's like really interesting, right? Because those signs are actually pointing to something with specific meaning, as it were. You have a type of semiotic cluster there.
Interesting. All right, you lost me when you said semiotic. No, okay. Anyway, so the Gemara says like this. No. Okay. The Gemara says like this. Okay. So now the Gemara says, okay, now we've set out our camps. Yadayim shein mochichas, having yadayim or lo having yadayim, and now we're going to say what we said before. Is this or is not the debate of this issue about what the text of the get has to say? 1 minute. None. Okay. I skipped, I think, before the word get paturin. Anyway, but it means basically the same. So Rabbi says, like the rabbis, that you don't have to spell that out because it's a yad mochiach. It's even though it's a yad eno mochiach, that's fine. And Rabbi says, like Rabbi Yehuda, no, it's not unambiguous, and therefore you have to spell it out. So I'm going to Rabbi. So Rabbi will say to you, and here, Michael, now here's your point. Like, no, come on, those things could be based on some other debate. Nedarim yafil Rabbi Yehuda. I could go like Rabbi Yehuda. I could normally, you don't need, yadayim shein mochichos is fine. So why does Rabbi Yehuda have to spell it out? Why does Rabbi Yehuda require it spelled out explicitly by the get? And get to be an increasus for what Michael saying. Maybe there's a higher criteria by get. Krisus, to sever a relationship, to totally cut it off, means you don't leave anything, any little strands left. You don't leave any doubts. It has to be very clear, unambiguous, black and white. Okay, so there you have to spell it out completely. The normal demand of what you need for a speech act, honestly, who says you need it to be 100% clear? Krisus, a divorce, has to be completely 100% clear. The Rav Amar, 1 minute. So that's why it's possible that Rabbi Yehuda does require it explicit by get, but he would not require things explicit by elsewhere. The Rav Amar, Rava says, I could say even according to the Rabbanan that don't require things to be so explicit. Why did the rabbi say it does not have to be evident over there by the get? Because it's unambiguous. Because there it is unambiguous. Who else are you divorcing? Now, where else did you get them? Now, 1 minute. 2 things. First of all, the fact that it says there it is unambiguous because who else are you divorcing makes it sound that the issue at stake with Rabbi Yehuda's statement was the question of who was being divorced, not the way I was saying it before. I was saying it before, actually, the Ram points out that both issues are at stake. Right. One is, what's divorcing her? Am I divorcing her through this writ? Is this writ the instrument of divorce? Or am I just making a declaration? So that's the importance of saying the first part of the statement. This shall be. This document is the instrument. But there's another part of the statement. If I just say, Harei at mutar l'chol adam, who am I talking to? Well, well, maybe it's not clear. Maybe I'm talking to somebody else. But if I say, if this is for you, for me, it's clear. Well, right. So that's basically, I have to admit, I don't really understand why L'cha mina is any clearer than at, and I'm giving it to her. Anyway, it seems that there's some question of, is it clear who I'm talking to? Maybe this woman is a shaliach or something. I don't know. Anyway, so therefore, that's what the Gemara seems to be pointing out here, that if your concern was, maybe you're talking about someone else. No, it's like my story about saying Li under the chuppah. There's no real question here who's talking to. So when the Rabbanan don't demand, and this is, I think, going back also, when the Rabbanan say you don't have to spell it all out here, it doesn't mean that they don't need something to be a Yad Mochiach. Maybe they do need something to be a Yad Mochiach. They just say, you have Yad Mochiach here. The context makes it very clear. The context makes it clear that this is the instrument of divorce. The context makes it clear that I'm divorcing my wife. Who else am I divorcing? Okay. Oh, the issue is not, here's the point. The issue is not who is the woman being divorced. Of course, it's the woman in front of me. I already said at. The question is, who's the man doing the divorcing? If I just say, Harei at mutar l'chol adam, it's not clear that I'm the one doing the divorcing. Maybe I'm a shaliach. Maybe I'm divorcing her from some other man. Okay, of course, how could she? She's only married to you, which is what the Gemara says. Okay, but that's the minai. I'm divorcing you from me. So anyway, the point is, the response is, you know why you don't have to make it explicit here? Not because ambiguity is okay, but because there's no ambiguity. Of course, you are divorcing your wife. Who else is divorcing? Who else is being divorced? And of course, you're doing it with this instrument. So basically, Rabbi would say, look, in general, everybody says Yadayim she'eino mochichos doesn't work. You need things to be explicit. The only thing is, context can also work. And the rabbis here are saying it's okay, not because they don't need it to be explicit, but because it is explicit. Context makes it clear, and that's why it's okay. So again, to recap, Abai says, normally ambiguity, a little ambiguity is fine. What's life without a little ambiguity? Okay, but he says, except for a sefer krisos, a get, that's where Rabbi Yehuda would say it's got to be black and white. But otherwise, a little ambiguity is fine. And Rabbi says, no, actually, a little ambiguity is not fine. Things don't work if they're not black and white. But by the case of a get, you don't have to spell it all out. Even if you don't have to spell it all out, it's still clear from context and that there's no ambiguity. And therefore, they're both able to say whatever's going on by get, they're still holding their two basic camps in other areas. I want to say one other point, and then I'll take a question. The Ran points out, what does the Gemara mean when it says at the bottom of Hamid Bet, the rabbis say you don't need Yadayim Mochichos by get. Okay, the Ran says that's not what we're saying. We're saying that they do need Yadayim Mochichos, but you have it, right? Because the context provides it. Right? Isn't that what we just said? You do need it to be explicit, but the context provides it. So why does Gemara say they don't require it to be explicit? They do require it to be explicit. They're just saying that the context provides it. Is the question clear?
Yeah.
So the Ran says, no, here's the difference. There, what's mochiach, in the case by get, is not the yad. What's mochiach is the context. Okay? So it's an interesting conceptual distinction. Is the statement itself free of any context, clear what it means? That's Yadayim Mochichos. Is the statement like when the person says Harei at Mekudeshet without saying Li, that's a Yad She'eino Mochiach, because maybe he means I'm a Shaliach. Put this guy in his tux under the chuppah with the woman in her wedding gown. Does this become a Yad Mochiach, or is this a Yad She'eino Mochiach, but the context was Mochiach? Okay, either way it'll work, but that's an interesting, but that's the point that the Ran says. In this case, the language is still a Yadayim She'eino Mochiach, but it works because the context is Mochiach. All right? Bottom line is, generally we call it Yadayim Mochiach through context. It winds up being the same thing. Okay? But those are basically the issues when you have either intrinsically or by context, everybody agrees it works. That's why the guy didn't have to redo the Kiddushin, okay, when he forgot to say we. But the question is, when even with context, it's not clear and there's some ambiguity, even though it's most likely we know what he means, but as long as there's still some ambiguity, that's the debate of Abai and Rabbi. Okay, well, we'll end here, and then if you have a question to ask, I just want to
I just wanted to make a point.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start by I can look on my view, and then